So David Kelly, I know fan favorite for a lot of 49er fans. He just became a writer for all 49ers SI. He put out his first article this year, this today. And he's talking about what the confidence level of Shanahan is behind
Kelly.
Trey Lance. Daniel Kelly. Sorry, I don't know what I said. I don't know. Daniel Kelly. Sorry.
I said David.
Oh, my bad. Daniel Kelly. Yeah. So go out and go to all 49ers SI. It actually is a really good written article. And he made some points because I'm a big Trey stan. Like, I think Trey's going to be the future, and I'm very happy that he's going to be the starting quarterback for the 49ers. Now, he did mention, though, is Shanahan confident with starting Trey? And he used this logic. And I'm going to lay it out, and then I'll let you kind of discuss it. So when Jacksonville traded for drafted Trevor Lawrence, immediately they got rid of Gardner Minshew to make sure that Trevor Lawrence was the bona fide starter. When the Jets went out and drafted Zach Wilson, they went ahead and traded Sam Darnold to make sure Zach Wilson was the bona fide starter. Now, Trey Lance got traded by the 49ers. Not only did Jimmy not get traded, Jimmy still hasn't been traded, and we're going into the second full season of Trey just started, and we still haven't heard any word from John Lynch or Kyle Shanahan coming out and unequivocally stating that Trey Lance is the starting quarterback for the 49ers in the 2022 season, right? Instead, we've heard rumors of maybe they're interested in Tom Brady. Maybe they were interested in Deshaun Watson. Like, these rumors are still coming out, Jose. So is Daniel wrong in stating that Shanahan isn't confident that Trey Lance is his starter this upcoming season?
I don't think he's wrong at all. I think it's damn near almost a fact, unless he says it, which he never would, that Shanahan is uncomfortable with starting Lance. This is the thing, though. Head coaches always just see the now. They don't see that projection of what someone can be too much often, because it's why so many. It's why I thought Mac Jones was literally the number 2, because hey, he's ready to start now. I can run with them now. They just see that. They don't see like, oh, they don't the lumps, But it's the reality. You're going to have to figure out Shanahan. I think he's also uncomfortable because he knows that, and he admitted it too before back in November, saying like, hey, it's not just like Lance knowing and being unknown with him, but me being unknown with how to call with him. So that's like it's a double whammy at that point. Whereas Jimmy, it's like, hey, I don't have to learn about myself. I already know what to do here. At that point, it's like, we already know with Jimmy. We already know we're going to live with those. That's why ultimately I think they just did that and just said, hey, now we can maybe add a little sprinkle benefit of just giving Trey, alleviating that instant immediately that he has to start. But you're right. As long as Jimmy's on the roster, that's never gonna be considered. And the fact that if he was comfortable with it, then they would have cut Jimmy by now and cut bait. Just say screw it. We'll take the look that we let go of a starting caliber quarterback right now because we're fully committed to Trey. And until they do that, I don't think they are committed. That's why I think that article is brilliant in terms of discussing it, because I don't think he is comfortable with them right now. And we talked about it when the first time with your show last month that Joe Montana's hearing players, hey, Trey's not ready. So I mean, if they hear that or see that, Shanahan certainly sees that. And the thing is, when are you going to be ready? How do you become that ready player unless you get out there and actually get to play those games? I just don't understand that. Eventually, take the training wheels. It's like what all like my family members do. And I don't know if this is a Mexican culture thing, but it's like, hey, you don't know how to swim? Here you go. Let's just throw you in there and see you sink or swim. But at some point, you got to sink or swim. You got to figure it out.
Right. And I mean, I've been somebody that's been hesitant to think that they were, they're uncomfortable with him. I played it more that, the moves were being made, and the reason why there wasn't this bona fide just put him as a starter was more because he didn't play a full year because of COVID. So I thought it was more, okay, he hasn't played, so this is why we're keeping Jimmy for another year, just in case he still needs to develop and all that kind of stuff. But the way that things are being played this year, I already had this inkling where I was asking guys like you, I was like, is there something to this that they still haven't announced Trey being the starting quarterback? And guys were like, no, that's like, you don't understand. It's because they don't want to diminish Jimmy's trade value and all this kind of stuff. If they already know that they're going to go with Trey, that I was like, okay. Well, now there's no way, like at this point, Jimmy's trade value is only up to one team really, and that's the Carolina Panthers. And there's no tricks you're going to play at this moment. It's either they're going to want him or they're not going to want him, right? There's nothing to like build up that trade value. So now that they're not doing it, now that they're not coming out and being like Trey is a starter, or there's not all these articles about how Trey is the guy and all this kind of stuff from the leaks, the guys that Shanahan and Lynch leak from, we still haven't seen those articles, right? That's a little bit troublesome and worrisome to me, because it's like there's this whole fan base that's ready to support Trey and be like, this is our guy, and run with him. But if the team isn't showing that amount of confidence, it's like, what are we missing? What are we not seeing or what do we not know that they know? Which is why they're hesitating so much, because at this point, that's all we got to think of it as, right? They're hesitating to come out and make Trey the bona fide starter and proclaim it to the world that Trey's our guy. Why do you think that's still going on?
And then Ian Rappaport yesterday, just opinionated, no source, just said, like, I can see it happening. I mean, that's just him, even though it's not from a source, he is knowledgeable and understands the league. All right. So when he says something, even if it's just an opinion, that does carry some weight regardless. Right. And I think even if he didn't say it, it's kind of evident with the way they're playing free agency and why they still keep him on board. This is my thing of why it annoys me of why they're not going all in, or they're not showing commitment with Trey Lance, because first of all, Jimmy's still on the roster and they're not adding enough free agents. They're not splurting. They're not taking that extra step. They're not being a little more aggressive. And, I've gotten into it with a friend of mine, Mike Finn, is like, this is not the 49ers MO. Well, yeah, no duh. They haven't had a rookie quarterback on this cost-effective contract to have that leeway. Now you do, now you can, but because you want to keep Jimmy Garoppolo on the roster, you're kind of like weighing down your salary cap. So all this, like, I don't see how Jimmy Garoppolo's contract is working. It's like, great. Now, meanwhile, you're restructuring all these contracts, kicking the can down the road just so you can keep them on for what? Not for trade value, because someone's going to magically get injured from here now until training camp, like starting quarterback wise. You look from now in the last 10 years, what quarterback does that happen to? You just see what Teddy Bridgewater and maybe like a couple other quarterbacks. That's kind of a rare occurrence. So if that's the 49ers thinking, which I don't think they're that naive to think that, then at this point, they probably are going to run it back with him. This is why, is he comfortable? No, I don't think he's comfortable with Trey Lance. And the same thing what you just mentioned, they had those smoke signals about 2 months ago or, last month, whatever. And now we're not hearing it. I mean, first of all, they don't care about putting it out there until Joe Montana said that, because that was a little weird, especially because, right, the players is where he got his info from, Joe Montana. So I think that's why the 49ers felt compelled to stand out. But I mean, again, this is why the free agency, this is my problem with free agency. It's not that they necessarily, need to grab players, but it's like, hey, now you have this leeway, now you have this luxury, you could spoil yourself a little bit, man. You got that stimulus check. Why don't you go out there and help yourself out, And that's why I think I just don't understand why they're not doing it. They're still operating the way that's being so careful.
Right. I mean, I guess to throw the team some bail, they're probably going to be giving big contracts to Debo and Bosa. So maybe those are the big splash signings that they're going to make. But I agree, man. I think that the fact that there isn't this vote of confidence from the team is a little bit troublesome for guys like me who are firmly in the Trey Lance camp, that want to see him start and see what he does. James Coombs, thanks for joining in. Why not mention the Texans as possible trade partner? GM came from Pats and have picks. This is the reason why I don't think it's accurate, because if the Texans did want to bring back a quarterback and not go with Davis Mills as the starter, I think they would have just took Baker back in the deal, because he is cheaper than Jimmy's contract. It would only be a 1-year deal for them, so that even if he didn't pan out, they would have no money in the future. That, and I think it's just 18 million versus the 25.5 million they'd have to play Jimmy. So I don't think that Houston is actually looking for a quarterback. I think they just want to build around Davis Mills and do what you want the 49ers to do with the rookie contract, and go out there and, kind of bring in some free agents to help your rookie quarterback do well. So that's the only reason why I don't think Houston is a viable option for for Jimmy Garoppolo at this time. Maybe if Jimmy Garoppolo's cut, I'm sure Houston would be interested in bringing him, but trade-wise, I don't know, because they already had an option to take Baker back and they didn't. So
I think you just consider it because of who's that head guy, the Nick Caserio, because of his ties with the Patriots. That's the only thing. Because, and I think the reason why you wouldn't take Baker back, even though it does make more logical sense, is because, guys are familiar. They like their own players or someone they're associated with. So I think in that sense. But, I mean, the lack of commitment to Trey Lance, man, is just – that's why I thought it was a good time for that article to get released by Daniel right there, is because, they're showing a lack of commitment. And are we sure – I mean, we're the ones that flipped the page. It's a Trey Lance season, yeah. And then Jimmy had that goodbye. But –
the team hasn't. The team isn't still doing it, right? We're not.
They haven't doing it exactly.
Lynch, we're not hearing from Shanahan, and I understand maybe a couple months ago when it was the thick of trading Jimmy talk. Okay, people giving me the whole we're not trying to devalue the Jimmy stuff, but now that it's already been devalued, right? Now there is no reason to continue to flirt with Jimmy Garoppolo coming back to the team and being at least quarterback controversy type thing. Now it's like, okay, maybe Jimmy gets brought back, but Trey Lance is going to be the starter. He's our starter from week one. Like, that message needs to be said, and that it hasn't, you have to believe in. And Daniel put it in his article, actions speak louder than words. And all of their actions aren't being made in a way that makes you feel confident that they're confident in Trey Lance. Because like we just mentioned, Jacksonville, who we don't think is anywhere close to a functional organization like the 49ers, traded Gardner Minshew to make sure that everybody knew Trevor Lawrence was the man. New York Jets, who we don't believe is any type of functionality compared to the 49ers, traded away Sam Darnold to let everybody know that Zach Wilson was the man. And the 49ers, we're at the beginning of the 2022-2023 season, and Jimmy Garoppolo is still on the roster. Is Trey Lance the man? I think so. You think so, but does the team think so? I don't know.
And we talked about this last time too about what's Jimmy's trade value, because I think that was when the news just came out, and I remember first before that news came out on the first show with you, I said, and I was being on a stretch. I'm like, I think I can see a 3rd round pick, but I think his value is really like a 5th or a 4th or maybe less. And even then, I was kind of reluctant to say what his trade value was, because I don't think I could have been a team that would be like, I want to trade for this guy. And then once his shoulder surgery news came out, now it's like, you can't touch this guy. He's getting cut. That's why last time I said he's got to get cut. And I was sure they're going to get cut, because I thought this is the time they were going to take that step forward and be like, now we can splurge in free agency and commit to Lance. But it's clear that free agency is not like that to them, other than just, improving special teams and bringing in Charvarius Ward. So if you haven't cut him now, then yeah, I think it's safe to say he's not the guy, or we can't say he's the guy. This is Trey Lance's team with Jimmy Garoppolo still on the field. I mean, on the roster. I don't care if he's not participating in OTAs, because he's in need OTAs. He's already missed a bunch of OTAs with his team. He could easily step into training camp, and Shanahan can be like, I like Jimmy. We're keeping Jimmy. So it's that would be so dumb just to waste another 2 years. Now he's going to be without football for 3 years. Come on, man. What are we doing here?
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to be interesting to keep our eye on. I know a lot of people are not wanting to believe it, and I'm sure Daniel's going to get a lot of hate for that article, but it did open up my eyes, because once he I was saying hate.
Yeah.
Once he laid out the argument, especially with what Jacksonville did and what the Jets did, it does make a lot of sense, and I just hope that the 49ers can figure it out sooner than later. I do. Once again, I trust this regime. I've seen more success in their 6 years than I've seen in any other regime's success since, back in the day with DeBartolo and all those guys. But yeah, man, to be determined. Hopefully that we could get an answer sooner than later, and they could just give that vote of confidence for Trey, and we could just move on and, go out there and be champs, baby, because that's all we want. Champs.